Hello again everyone. I decided to make one more of these videos because they're fun to make, and I was looking through the notes and found 3 more characters where a couple of things stood out as really interesting to me. So let's start with Gigas and go to the top. Now it might look like there's a lot of green on the screen right now, but don't be deceived, they did not help him as far as I can tell. So first of all, 2-1, that's your jab string. It's the safer alternative to the big 1-2, which is the launch, punishable, knockdown, 30 plus damage string. And this is the string that has the stance transition option as well. And they just made it 1 frame better on both hit and block. So it's a welcome buff, but it's a very minor one, and it's not going to change anything major about the character. Next, down back 3. This is the sort of long range low where he kind of slides on the ground a little bit. This was brought down from -28 to -20 on block, which might sound like a buff, but it's not. I don't think this counts as a buff at all. -28 and -20 for a low is the exact same thing, because there's no launcher that can launch you at -28 that can't launch you at -20. You're going to eat the exact same punish for having the move blocked in both cases. So it's not really a real buff in my opinion. But then on hit, it used to actually be plus on hit and give you some momentum, but now it's minus on hit, and that means that you can't use this low anymore. It's not going to work for a low. And the reason they've done it is if we go down to the new move, you can see that we have down back 3-2. This is a new extension to this low and a spin move, and so they had to change the properties of the low to accommodate for this new extension. It means that the low effectively doesn't exist anymore in my opinion, but the spin move is a good buff to your combo game, because you currently do have 2 launchers, forward 1+2 and down forward 3 1+2. Might be a couple more that I'm forgetting, where you don't get full combos with spin, and you have bad conversion capabilities because they're too low to the ground for you to spin. All of your spin moves are very high up with Gigas in terms of the hitbox. And so what you can do now is launch with, for example, down forward 3 1+2 and then do this new string, and you're going to get really good damage. Just doing down forward 3 1+2 into the low is already 44 damage. Then you're going to have the spin hit on top of that, and then an ender. Even if you just do excavator on top of that, you're going to be at like 70 damage or more. So it's a very nice buff to those launchers. They're not his best launchers. They're kind of risky to use, and he already has pretty decent combo game off of his most important launchers, so I don't think that this is going to revolutionize the character either, but this is an actual welcome buff. Next, Golem 2 is going to give you wall bounce, and I don't think that matters because Golem is not a good stance. It doesn't have mix-up capabilities. Maybe I'll explain why when we get to the end. We can explain it now. The way Golem works currently is you have 2 moves out of it, and both are, it's the Golem 1 and the Golem 2. Both are mids and both are minus on block. So if your opponent sees Golem, they can just stand block and do nothing, and no matter what move you do out of Golem, they're gonna block it, and Gigas is gonna be at disadvantage, and now the opponent has the momentum. He can do the little jump back, but that's not super dangerous or anything. So there's no mix-up capability whatsoever. There is no scary unblockable high. There is no low to speak of. So when you see Golem stance in the new season, just stand block, and you'll never have to be worried about getting wall bounced by Golem 2. Next, back 1+2. This is the biggest buff that he got. It's a big actual buff. It matters, and it's really strong. So this is something to be excited about, and a move to use a lot more if you're a Gigas player in the new season. This is where he leans back and does a headbutt, and you're going to get +4. I think you used to get +1, I think it is. So you get a really nice chunk of healthy advantage for having this block now, and this honestly reminds me a little bit of great moves like Brian's back 1. Has a little bit of a built-in backswing blow. It's mid, it's chunky. Even if they block it, you get a nice bit of advantage, and you can do some sort of mix-up. You're probably going to be mixing, down back 2 with some sort of mid here. This is very nice. This move has good range. It's good at the wall. You can be oppressive and put people at disadvantage at the wall, and then, threaten the splat and everything else. So this is an actual buff. It's going to make the character slightly stronger. This needed to come in a package with significant buffs to a lot of other things for it to really matter for the character, but this one is pretty cool. Next, while standing 1, which is your fast while standing Punisher for Gigas. He uses this instead of a while standing 4 like a normal character, and he's going to get 2 frames more of advantage on hit now at +5. Most characters already get about +5 for their while standing 4, so while it is better, it's not like it's amazing now, it's just brought up to an average level when compared to other characters. And the last buff, Overkill, which is the big, 1+2 break throw where he throws you into the wall and does massive damage, is now available from Golem stance. So you can pop in a Golem and you can threaten this throw. And you might think that that means that opponents are going to be scared of this throw and start ducking, and that means that you can wall bounce with Golem 2. However, I don't think this is going to work. I mean, you're obviously going to get this throw out of the stance. Sometimes people will fail to break it. You will get a big chunk of damage on the wall. But when it counts, when you're playing somebody really good, when you're playing offline, when you're in a high stakes environment, this is not reliable and it's going to fail you. We've talked about mix-up stances before, and the reasons why Negan's Intimidation was not a good mix-up stance. That has a throw instead of a low to try and create an artificial mix-up in that stance. And that doesn't work because the throw is reactable. In the case of Gigas, not only is the throw reactable, the overkill from Golem, it's also breakable, unlike Negan's throw. You can just 1+2 break it every time. If you wanted this to be more dangerous, you needed to give him another throw that has a different break option. The reason King is good at grappling is not that he has all these crazy throws, it's that he has throws that are broken in different ways but look the same, so you actually can mix people up with your throws. Gigas has a great throw in Overkill, it's amazingly high damage, but if your opponent is good at throw breaking, they can break it every time, especially when it comes out of this stance. It's kind of like Harrier 1+2, you know? Or the throw is a down forward 1+2 from Harrier, Katarina's throw. There's only one throw in the stance, there's no mix-up. So Golem is like the worst mix-up stance in the game because you can stand block everything he does, and if you see the throw, you can break 1+2 every time, and you're going to break it with 100% consistency, meaning that this buff to his wall game and this new wall bounce stuff isn't going to matter. But the back 1+2 and more advantage right there is really good, and you're going to get big nice combos off of some of your launchers. So you got a couple of buffs, but what they needed to do with Gigas, in my opinion, is kind of what they did with Lars, go into a lot of things and start improving frame data overall, trying to explore some new avenues and areas of application for moves that he has. He needed a little bit more of an overhaul and not just a slightly better combo game and a nice mid. But there you go. I don't think Gigas is going to be relevant going forward, and this is like the third time they do this, change him but don't really help him in any significant way. So I'm not super optimistic for the future of this character, but let's move on and talk about somebody else. Okay, let's talk about a character who got a lot better. Now, I need to say first of all that I think that there are mistakes in these notes from Namco because they're a little bit weird for this character. They talk about jump properties on moves that don't have jump properties. They talk about the same change like 3 times in the same notes, but if half of this is true, then the character is a lot stronger now. So first of all, 2-4 is a natural string now. This does 30 damage and gives you access to switch stance. Switch is a good mix-up stance. It's already powerful, so you want to be in the stance. It's even better in Season 3, by the way. So this is an amazing little Punisher. You have fast and good access to switch stance, high damage. Now, the thing that I'm a little bit confused about here is if 2-4 is natural, 1-2 is already natural. So does that mean that 1-2-4 is natural? That obviously can't be the case, because if it is, it's a 37 damage 10 frame block Punisher with mix-up potential at the end, which would make it by far the most powerful 10 frame Punisher in the game, with the exception of 2D characters who are special canceling. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work, and maybe I've misunderstood it, but if you are a Josie player and if you have insight here, then definitely share it because I'm very curious. Next, switch 4 wall bounce. This is something when I saw, I thought it was like wrong, but if it is true, it's amazing because switch 4 is already a good mid from a mix-up stance. Your opponent is incentivized to duck you when you are in this stance, and when you hit with switch 4 now and you're anywhere near the wall, it's going to be a huge wall combo. So it's very, very good. And I've talked about before how you want to stick wall bounce on moves that are already useful, otherwise the feature doesn't become relevant, and they've definitely done that for a lot of characters in Season 3, and Josie's no exception. This is a very good wall bounce move, and the fact that it's, you know, tied to a mix-up stance, it just makes it so powerful, because the opponent knows, okay, I need to sort of decide if I want to duck or not here, and if they make the choice of ducking when you do the 4, you're going to get the wall bounce. So the move sort of sets up itself, if you know what I mean. So it's very, very good. Down to 5 more damage and access to full crouch. That's great. 5 more damage is a lot more, and full crouch is good for Josie. She has good stuff for while standing. While standing 1 on counter, it gives you, you know, guaranteed follow-ups. She has that leg breaker. I think it's full crouch down forward 3, which is the long range leg breaking low. So very, very good. Down back 2, 5 more damage, back 2, 5 more damage. These are all decent moves, but Josie has like a big move list with all these different strings and different moves, right? And not everything gets used. And now that you have more damage and more utility on a lot more stuff, you would probably be lifting in more things and adding more things to your toolbox and your repertoire as a Josie player, and so your character is becoming more flexible, and you're probably going to change, you know, some of the stuff you do in neutral, but it's just more options overall, which is great, and more damage. Next, back 1, 2, 4, 4. This is the current wall bounce that she has. You've seen it before. It's the delayable string where she does the double kicks at the end. This is now going to be natural even if you do the full delay at the end. And what that means is you can now hit confirm this. And if you hit confirm it and you see the hit, you can get a guaranteed wall bounce. And if you don't see the hit, you just hit the brakes and you're in no danger. So it's an extremely good, again, wall bounce move. This string is very oppressive at the wall, and your opponent needs to be very scared of it. So if you are good at hit confirming and you have some reaction time, I don't know if it's going to be hard. I don't think so. This is another monstrous wall bounce move, and I think it makes Josie just such a good character at the wall. One of the best characters in the game at wall bouncing. Just crazy, crazy powerful stuff. Next, down forward 1, 4, 4. This is the move where she, you know, puts her leg up like she's going to kick you, fakes you out, and then does the knee. And this is now going to be safe at -12. It was punishable before. But it also said that its properties on hit are going to change. What this does currently is it launches. And if it's going to be safe, my guess is that it's not going to launch anymore, because that would be too good. And so if you are fishing for a lot of cheeky launches with this right now, then you're going to be sad about losing that launch property. But the fact that the move is safe is huge. Safe moves are amazing. A move being safe is like one of the most important properties it can have. And so if this move still gives you, you know, a nice chunk of damage, maybe a knockdown, or just a good advantage on hit, it's still going to be a useful string that you can throw out, and now you don't really take any risk for doing it anymore. So it's both a buff and a nerf. Next, 2, 3. This is the change that they listed like 3 times, and it says it's changed on counter hit. I tested yesterday what it does on counter hit, and it causes that little explosion sound effect and sends the opponent flying back. So it's a knockdown move, which means that if the counter hit property is changed, it can probably be one of 2 things. Either it does nothing on counter hit now, or it's a counter hit launcher now. If it is a counter hit launcher, then it's amazing, amazing damage. It's a really good buff. It's a really good counter hit tool, but we don't know if it's going to be a launch. And next, down for 3+4. That's the big power crush move where she turns into a rocket and just flies forward into the air. It's going to impact faster at 4 frames, but be worse on block at -13. But it's another reason she's even more scary at the wall right now. The new move is forward 2-3-3. Forward 2-3-4 is the go-to spin move for Josie, the 3-hit string that you've seen many times. It goes low and then high for the spin. And so this is probably going to be a mid mix-up for that final high, and whether or not it's going to be super useful, we don't know. My guess is, if I had to have like a hypothesis here, is that it's going to be a nice chunk of damage on that 3 right there. And what that means is that Josie's easiest to use combo end right now, which is 4-2-3-4, you can still use if you want to convert to the wall and get decent damage, but if you're in the open, maybe you substitute in the 3 on the final hit and you get slightly more optimal damage. I think that's very realistic as a prediction, and it's so great. I mean, I play Miguel and I've played Katarina in the past. So I know how good it is when you have like the exact same combo for a wall conversion and non-wall conversion, and the only thing you need to modify is like the final hit. It's very, very easy to think and strategize about your combos, and it makes it, you know, a little bit more ergonomic when you're working with the wall. So I think it might be a buff to her combo game and a new combo ender. That's my prediction. But in conclusion, Josie has seen amazing buffs, basically no nerfs as far as I can tell, but I'm not a Josie player, so I might be missing stuff. I think she's going to be an amazing character at the wall, one of the best, a wall bounce specialist. She has higher damage, more utility, and her already good mix-up stance is even better. This is currently a character who is good at everything. She has good whiff punishment, she has a magic 4 and other good counter hits. She has good gap closers because she has that homing move and the move that is plus on block that synergize perfectly from a range. She has the hatchet kick from a range. Her wall game is amazing. Her combos are already good and they're going to be even better. She has one of the fastest while standing launchers in the game. So what an amazing character, and I'm honestly pretty happy about this because I like Josie, and I don't want, you know, the really strong characters in the game to be the same characters over and over. So if one character is going to shoot up in the tiers and become a lot more powerful, why not Josie? I don't mind, and I might honestly check her out because, like I said, I've been interested in this character for a long time, and I've been sort of close to trying her out many times, and maybe Season 3 will be my opportunity to actually do that. So cool stuff. Let's move on to the last character for this video. The last character I want to talk about is Leo, because I've said recently on this channel how I think this character design is really good and really interesting, but these are difficult to talk about changes. There's a lot of vague stuff in here, you know, stuff that has been changed, but we don't know how, and we're going to have to look at it in the game to really understand it, but I'm going to make my best effort to make sense of it here. First thing I need to say is that the way that the move list and Namco refer to Leo's stances is different from the way the community tends to refer to the stances. So when I say King K, that's the knee stance, you know, that comes out of back 1. And when I say Bokuho, that's the stance that crouches close to the ground, and you have that big 2, you know, that mid launcher that you get guaranteed off of a lot of knockdown stuff for Leo right now. But let's go to the top. King K 1-2. This is already a decent natural string. It's going to give you 1 more damage and wall bounce in the new season. And they are really re-implementing wall bounce in a big way in this season. This is going to be the season of wall bounce. You're going to see so much wall bounce going forward. I was like super happy and surprised when I saw wall bounce on back 4 for Miguel, because I thought that was going to be like a standout, amazing wall bounce move in this game. It still will be very, very good, but I didn't realize that almost every character in the game now has amazing wall bounce. So it's just going to be another great move in a group of new moves being rolled out, and wall bounce is going to be a major mechanic in Season 3, which it wasn't in Season 2. So I think Season 2 was the big sort of trial run for wall bounce, and this is going to be the heyday of wall bounce. But that's a nice buff. And then King K 3-4, that's the scissor kicks, you know, the double hop kick that you have from that stance, and that's going to be 3 more damage total. They've nerfed 1 hit and then buffed the other, but the net change is 3 more damage, and then they've changed the properties when it hits in midair, which we don't know what that means, and we're going to have to test it. But 3 more damage on a launcher from a mix-up stance is not a bad thing. Down back 2-2. This is not a stance or string, sorry, that sees a lot of use right now. It's a double hit move. It's got good range. It's mid, and now it's got really good frame data. +8 on hit, -4 on block is really, really good. Very safe. You can throw this out now if it connects. +8, amazing. You can mix up. You have massive advantage. They can't step you. -4, not a big deal, right? So it's kind of like how you use down forward 3-2 from Miguel. It's just a string that you can put out there, and basically you're not taking any big risks. So cool little change, and I think it's going to mean that this string sees more use. Back for 1+2. This is the biggest overhaul any move had for Leo. This move right now, if you don't know about it, you have this long range kick, and then you spin around and you do this tackle with your shoulder, and it's currently not natural, which means that it sees almost no use and it's not very good, but it's going to be natural in the new season, and it's going to be a wall bounce move. The back four has good range, and this is going to be a very dangerous and high damage wall bounce move, so again, better wall bounce, right? And they've given you the option of canceling this by holding down, so you can sort of tease the opponent with this, cancel it. They're going to obviously be frozen because they're scared of that big mid that's going to wall bounce them, and then maybe you do, you know, a falling leaf or something instead, kind of cheeky, you know, Paul shenanigans, but it's going to be really interesting, and it's a good wall bounce move. Next, we're going to talk more about the exact same move. It does 3 less damage, and it's now going to be unsafe. It had to be unsafe, obviously, if it's going to be a natural, high-powered mid that gives a wall bounce. If this was safe, then, you know, it's like no risk, infinite reward at the wall. So it caught a little bit of a nerf, but overall, it was a move that did not have any area of application, and now it has a huge, intended, strong area of application. So back for 1+2 is going to be good. And then Bokuho 1-2, this is the change that I am the most interested in all the changes, because it says changed if you do both hits, or in the exact phrasing I think was something like changed if you already did the first hit. And there's already a move like that in Leo's arsenal, and it's falling leaf, you know, down back 4-1. If you do that low by itself, it doesn't knock the opponent down, but if you already input the second hit of the string when the low connects, it turns into a knockdown low. So it's a kind of a weird Leo-ish property, and I don't know what's going to happen here. Bokuho 1-2 is like a cool chunky move that I already like, but this is like I think this might be pretty exotic and pretty fun, and I want to know what's going to happen here. So definitely something to check out as soon as the patch drops. And then King K 1+2 is the one new move. I think this is what we saw in the initial trailer, and they didn't really give us a lot of information there. It just looks like one big chunky hit with some wall applications maybe, but we're gonna need frame data to say anything more about that. So overall, not that much to say about Leo, except for the fact that the character is definitely buffed and not nerfed, but we don't know, you know, to how significant an extent, and there's a lot of weird moves in here that, you know, need to be tested. So very interesting, and if you are a Leo player, then you're gonna have fun exploring these new tools, but you can be completely sure that you definitely haven't gotten any weaker, and you have at least gotten a good buff to your wall game, and definitely your wall bounce game, which most other characters have. So that's going to be my last of these character patch notes, patch note rundowns. I wanted to make more videos, but there's, you know, only 2 days left until the patch is actually out, and I need to prepare for that and get some rest. Hopefully you've enjoyed the videos and you're excited. Hopefully your character did not get hit really hard with any nerfs. Hopefully you got buffed and you're excited about playing the new season. If you're not, then there are a lot of characters who are getting better and, you know, getting new options, and maybe you can explore a new character and learn something new in the new season. But thank you so much for watching these videos so far, and I'll see you guys in Season 3. Bye-bye for now.